Yeah, I'm Rod Emory. This is Emory Motorsports here in North Hollywood. I've been in the Porsche racing and restoration business for just about 30 years. I restored my first Porsche 356 when I was in high school, and really made it my lifelong passion building and restoring Porsches. This is our workshop. This area is a little bit of our kind of showroom, customer area where I go over, sometimes play Hot Wheels with my customers, but go over all the material samples with them. Kind of figure out what we're going to do on their car, do a little bit of research, and then this area we've got cars on display.
So customers come here and they can say, okay, they have a Porsche already and you will customize them, or you also sell ready cars?
Yeah, we don't really sell any finished cars ready to go. All of our cars are built to order, and they're usually about a 12 to 14 month build timeline. But usually a customer will come to me and say, Rod, I'd love one of your 356s, like the black one that I've seen, or the Speedster. And then from there I'll formulate a plan or an outline and come up with what I would do for myself. And then from there we can kind of fine tune their colors and trim. And then we put them in line, because obviously we have a waiting list. It's about 12 months before we can start on their car. So delivery is about 2 years out. So if somebody comes and orders a car from me today, it's about 2 years before they're gonna get it. But when I take you through the workshop, you'll be able to see the process, everything from disassembly to metalwork, modifications, and then once we do body and paint, then it's all assembly and testing.
So very busy, yeah?
Very busy, yeah. There's a total of 12 of us here in the shop, and we work on 12 projects simultaneously. And we finish one car about every 4 to 6 weeks, but it takes 12 months to do it. So there's like every month we start a new car, and every month we kind of finish one. So it's just kind of a rotating cycle.
How much cars do you have now at the moment here?
In the workshop here, we've got about 60 cars, cars that are either cars that we've built and are here already restored that we're doing service work on, or cars that are on the waiting list waiting to be restored, and then 12 or 14 that are in progress right now. So yeah, quite a few.
What's your favorite car, and what is the car where you're most proud of it?
Well, one of my favorite cars is it's actually at the Peterson Museum right now. It's a 1964 356 Cabriolet that I modified. It was my first what I call Emory Special, and I built that car in 1998. But I'm proud of all the cars that I do. I think every one of them is different and unique. Everything to like what I call our outlaw cars, which is just a pretty standard 356 body, but it's got 3 times the horsepower and better brakes. We've restored a lot of significant race cars, like this 906 in the picture there, or the Le Mans winning 1951 356 SL. Those are more like restorations, a little bit more, stock, or not stock, but point in time restorations, exactly how they were at that point in time. And then what I call an Emory Special, which is where I'm changing all the body lines on the cars, getting rid of drip rails, radiusing corners, raising the wheel arches, changing the B-pillar angle, lots of like real heavy modifications. So with all that, it's just, every car is different. So I just enjoy, making them all kind of really personal and individual for the client that I'm building it for. This car, I'm sure that Porsche would love to have this car, but right now it's in my hands. Once we discovered that it was the Le Mans winning car, we had to, bring it back to how it raced. And I had to build a new roof for it and all the inner structure, and do it exactly back to the point in time that it was raced in 1951. At this point now, I'll just continue to take it to events like Rennsport Reunion, just took it to Amelia Island. We'll take it back to the Peterson Museum for some events. I think eventually we'll take it to Le Mans and do the Le Mans Classic or some tribute laps, and kind of put it back on the track that it was famous for.
Do you know how much it's worth?
It's probably worth more than $1,000. No, there's really no way to put a price tag on this car. It's one of one. It's the very first race car that Porsche built, and it's the very first car to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans for Porsche. So it's worth what the next person's willing to pay for it, and I would imagine it's you know, probably in the top 5 or 10 you know, high-valued Porsches of all time. The other cars that are in here, that's an Elva Porsche with a 2-liter 4-cam engine that I'll race at Rennsport Reunion, and then back there is a 908K that was driven by Vic Elford at Spa in 1968, and has been regularly raced here on the West Coast and actually all over the United States for the past 12 years. And then this Silver Turbo is a all original, never driven since brand new, 60-mile 930 turbo that the only damage that's on it is somebody broke the light in about 1982 or 1983, and it's still dangling there just like it was. So the rest of this building is just, you know, this is my kind of inspiration wall. I mean, I'm still a kid playing with toys every day, and for me, all of these little models, you know, represent a piece of Porsche's history, and every day when I'm out there building cars in the workshop, I try to draw inspiration from you know, specific models. Like, you know, if I'm building a car, an open 356, I'll draw as much inspiration as I can from some of the Spiders, or you know, just really anything. So as I'm, you know, if I'm changing the roof line on a 356, oftentimes I'll look at some of the Spider coupes, or, you know, so yeah, I constantly am playing with toys, you know. The area that we're standing in right now is more of our fabrication area. This is where we'll, you know, build roll bars, more technical fabrication, build exhaust systems, do some manual, you know, old school machining. We don't do any CNC machining in the shop. We outsource that, but we do all of our prototyping on, you know, old Bridgeport mills and lathes. The process for building cars is really, you know, we start here. We start with a car that needs to be totally restored, and we disassemble it. And then, you know, once you disassemble it, you can find all the rust, holes in the floor, you know, old, poorly repaired patch panels. And then once these are disassembled and put in our octagon rotisserie, then we send them off and have them media blasted, and all the paint is taken off. And then once that's done, then we start the process of restoring the sheet metal back to the way that it was originally, and then we do all of our modifications. But first we have to get the rust repair done and all of that that's necessary. So each one of these stations, this is the beginning stage when we are doing all the floors and sheet metal work, and then we start doing all the custom work. So like on this car, we got rid of the drip rail, just like that black car in the picture, got rid of the drip rail and put side louver vents. And this is a car for John Oates from the band Hall & Oates, that I leaned the windshield back and reshaped the roof. So kind of each step of the way, we're taking the cars and bringing them back to, or either back to the way they were, or modifying kind of everything. Like this car that's on the lift, this is a 356 that we graphed basically blended all 1990s Carrera 4 running gear. So this is all 964 suspension, transmission, front differential. So this car's all-wheel drive and coilover.
And the muffler is like custom axle from you, or it's like?
Yeah, so all the stuff, you know, our engine, we take a 6-cylinder engine and turn it into a 4-cylinder. So it's a special case. All the components are special that we're putting on the cars. So we build a car that has kind of all modern running gear under it. And this is a car that I'm doing for Momo, where it's got all modern 964 suspension and special aluminum nose and tail. So really we'll kind of do anything, that I want to do. I won't do anything that the customer wants, because then we'll end up with a car that, you know, might not be something we're proud of. So I have to kind of, you know, help the customer understand the vision, and then ultimately build a car that is going to have the design qualities that are going to be timeless. Because for me, I want a car that when we build it today, people aren't going to know 20 years from now, you know, they'll think that it was something that Porsche built. It's kind of the essence of what I try to do is keep the cars looking like something Porsche would have or might have done. So yeah, over here we're doing assembly. This car just got painted, and now we'll start assembling it. And then most of these cars that are over here, like down these lines, they're all cars that are for upcoming projects.
But they're all cars from America, or there's also cars from Europe?
Oh, there's some European cars here. Let's see. One of the ones that's getting ready for paint right now is for Germany. Then there's one that we just delivered to the UK. We've got 3 for Puerto Rico. So which is still US, but you know, they're not all mainland US cars. We build them for people kind of all over the place.
So you have also just a German customers?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so we used to, in Oregon, we did all of our own paint work in-house, but California, AQMD and all that, it's better for me to just outsource the paint to somebody else. We just focus on the metal work and all the mechanical. We do our own interiors in-house and all that stuff. Yeah, so those are the two, this was the foam model that I used when I took all the data from I collected data from a number of cars that I scanned, and then once I had all that data together, then I machined a full-size version of the 356 SL, and then fine-tuned the foam to look just like the photos. Once I got it looking like the photos, then we built the wood buck to be able to build the new roof. So they were just kind of cool. I didn't want to throw them away. That's one of the noses off of the number 9 Martini 936. This was a spare nose for a 917. And then this is an Elva Porsche nose. So this is another Elva like the one that I've got in there. And then this nose and tail right here are another Elva Porsche. In fact, it was the only 8-cylinder Elva Porsche. And it hasn't raced since the 70s. And you can see this picture right here. That's me standing inside of the body when I was 1.5 years or 2 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's, my dad bought it in 1975 and then sold it to somebody, and we lost track of it. We knew where it was at, but we didn't know that it was still there. And then just this last year I found it and got it. So now it's time to build another car out of it.
And I remember seeing some of the pictures from the barn in Oregon.
Yeah.
You brought these back down, or do you have?
Yeah, so I have, I was in Oregon. My business operated in Oregon for over 20 years, and I have all the molds and lots more noses and tails hanging in the rafters there. So yeah, you saw it was 962-001, so the prototype tail I had hanging up in there for like 15 years, and when Kevin Jeanette at Gunner Racing was doing the restoration on the car, he wanted to put the original tail back on. So I brought it down and then shipped it to him. He's in Florida, so, but.
So I was very, very jealous of that barn.
Yeah.
962 is